would have been.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vedabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And of course, we're going to talk about the first two episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which dropped on Friday on Disney Plus. And then we had a weekend full of Star Wars stuff, I'm sure, as Celebration was going on. I didn't pay attention to any of it, so maybe you have some stuff you can fill me in on, Kenton.
Well, there's so much, and in the big scope of things, sweep of things, in the grand sweep of Star Wars things this weekend, I think Star Wars stepped on its own show with all of its dumping all of the announcements on us fast and furiously, some of which could be watched online, some of which could be watched online illegally.
Well,
and some stuff that I just didn't care about, and other stuff that was fascinating. I mean, we would have done an entire podcast on Andor trailer.
Sure.
Alone.
Yeah.
And the bootleg Mandalorian trailer, which everybody watched.
I didn't watch all of it.
Oh, I watched the
refused.
whole thing.
As soon as it went off frame, I'm like, nope, I don't want to experience this like this, and I turned it off.
Then there was also an Ahsoka trailer, which made its way online, a teaser, and it's pretty cool. I have to say, like, we could have done a whole podcast on that alone. And lots of others. Oh, and the announcement about Jude Law being in the TV show called the Star Wars show called Skeleton Crew, which that's the Grammar Rodeo, the one that they called called Skeleton Crew. So there's that. Let me just see. I made
first
list.
Yeah, well, go back to your list. Well, you say it would do that. I just want to say, like, I don't like the fact that they're doing, like, I understand you want to make the people who go to these events feel special, right? That's why they're doing these exclusive trailers just for the people there. You know, people are going to record it, even though I think the reason you sent me that one and said, quick, watch it before it gets pulled down. But as soon as that guy's camera goes, boop, and he's like, well, not because he either somebody saw the camera or he forgot because he was so entranced in the trailer. I don't want to watch it like that. I don't want to see it off frame and then not see everything clearly. So I wish have they posted anything yet? Any of that stuff? No. Like, come on, put it up at least
Andor.
At the end of the day. Well, Andor is good, but the Mandalorian one, post that at the end of the day or something, or the end of the weekend, so everyone else can see it. And you don't have to have all this crappy versions of it flying around. I just hate that.
I don't like it either. The only other thing that I made a note of. There's lots. I mean, there's a Bad Batch trailer as well.
Ooh.
I should say. Hey, we're not as interested in the animated stuff than we are in the live action, but that exists. Lots of other sort of Tales of the Jedi animated series, including the voice of Liam Neeson, we're told, and then Willow, a trailer for Willow, and a screenshot of the new Indiana Jones. And then the usual stuff, John Williams conducting an orchestra and Harrison Ford showing up and all of that stuff that happens there. But overall, I just wanted to focus on Obi-Wan Kenobi, and all of this noise, it just seemed badly timed. You could have leaked this out little by little, one thing a week or something, and had everybody just salivating for more instead of the massive information dump. And meanwhile, we just all want to enjoy Obi-Wan Kenobi without having to worry about, are we up to date with all the announcements at Star Wars Celebration? So I'm not a big fan of the way they unloaded it this year, but I'm very excited about the content that I did see. And I am also very excited about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Agreed. And I didn't look at any of that stuff. I just kind of tuned it all out and I watched Obi-Wan Kenobi. You were texting me and saying there was a lot of announcements. I did watch the Andor trailer, which was excellent. We could talk about it another time. But yeah, so Obi-Wan. Now, it's interesting. I did see a little bit of reaction on TikTok before I watched although I was up very early. I got up at like 5 a.m. I woke up on my own internal clock. My alarm was set for 6. I woke up 5 a.m. Something's different. Something is up today. Oh, Obi-Wan is up. So I got up and watched it with my coffee. And then I saw some people criticizing the fact that they included a recap for the first of the 3 prequel films, basically. How did you feel about that?
I loved it. I loved the editing. I thought my initial takeaway was, wow, this makes the prequels look 100 times better than they actually are.
Yeah.
So way to go. Well done. I like how it starts with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Oh my goodness. How can you stop watching at that point?
Mhm.
I loved it. I thought it was a beautiful, I even consider it to be part of the content of the show, to tell you the truth. I thought it was a beautiful way to get people into it who maybe haven't even seen, who are too young to have
Mhm.
seen those prequels. So
Mhm.
I loved it. How about you?
Yeah, I did as well. Like I remember seeing somebody criticize like who needs a recap? Like how would you
Oh.
just watch the movies? You don't need a recap. But you're right. It does make it look more exciting and more interesting. It sums it up. I don't want to watch all three of the movies right now. I don't have time.
No.
Like we just watched them last December, right? Is when we
Yeah.
did that last round. So we're good for a while. So I did appreciate the sum up of the key points of the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and some fun scenes, a little shot of Jar Jar here and there.
Yeah.
So maybe some hints at what's to come in this series. I don't know. So then we go from that into the opening scene, which is again another version of Order 66, which is these Jedi younglings training at the temple that we've seen or familiar with from the prequels that we've just been recapped. And then we see these Jedi who are being, they have to run away. The Clone Wars are attacking, Clone Troopers are attacking. But I think, is this like event of Order 66 becoming pearls hitting the pavement? Are we seeing this too many times, or are we
No.
not sick of it yet?
No, because this ties right into the show. That has to be Riva is one of the Padawans, right? It
Absolutely.
has to be.
Yeah.
And I found it, well, in a week of a school shooting, I found it to be too, it was almost too overwhelming to see this that week. And I think they've put a warning on it now, as a
Mhm.
matter of fact,
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
But it's so harrowing, and you see the little group of kids running from corner to corner. It's very well shot. It really is harrowing. And when the camera pulls back and they're in that huge auditorium and there's little fights going on everywhere, I thought it was very well incorporated into the show. If there's one thing that I thought we were going to see that we did not see, and that was the rescue of little baby Grogu.
That's I was just gonna say that. Yeah, that's happening somewhere else in another wing of the temple, right? That's like, we know that's happening in the same space as this.
Yeah.
But I do predict that if we keep seeing this scene over and over again in these different things, we're gonna get tired of it. We're gonna like, I don't think they can show it to us too many different ways, but maybe they can surprise me. I don't know.
It does take place at a time where that is very important.
Yeah.
And I think it will play into Riva's storyline as well. I think it has to. We kind of don't know where she stands on a lot of issues right now. But
Well,
I think that
we know where she stands on one issue, the most important issue, and that's with regards to Obi-Wan. And I can't wait to find out how she got there. Like, that's the key story for me in this series, is how does Riva get to the point where she hates Obi-Wan so much?
Well, hang on for a second, because I'm not sure that's the case. I think maybe the reason she wants to take him to meet Darth Vader, it might be that she wants to be by Darth Vader's side. It might be because the only way she can take down Vader herself is to have Obi-Wan with her to help her do it.
Correct.
There could be a number of mathematical possibilities here.
I think we'll get to her actions later in the show, but I think her actions in these first couple episodes show that I suspect she has a closer relationship with Darth Vader than with the other Inquisitors think, because they don't really treat her very well. We see in the opening shot, and like this goes right into the opening shot of the Inquisitors, and we see the ship come in. Great, they look great, by the way. I will say, like, Rupert is awesome. As the Grand Inquisitor, he looks great. I don't know what the other guy's, the first brother or second brother or whatever, the guy with the thing on the hat.
The other guy, yeah.
The other guy. And then the third sister, Riva, is the third sister, basically. And there's second sister, right? Or is that another sister that we don't know? Because second sister was part of Rebels or a video game or something. There were some more sisters involved in some of that other stuff.
I never got my mind around all of that. I didn't watch all the Rebels, as you know. I watched some of it.
Yeah.
And I watched the end of it, and
They weren't involved in that.
No, I like the idea. I like the idea of Inquisitors. We're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to this when we talk about the second episode for sure. But because there's something that happened in that episode that people are wondering about, I'm wondering about, and etc. that we're gonna come back to. But I thought her storyline is an interesting one. I think it could be that she knows more about Darth Vader because where do those Padawans end up in that first?
Right, where do the other ones end up? Because at first I thought they were the other Inquisitors, but they're not human. The other Inquisitors are not human, and I think most of those other Jedi were human in that. They look to be. I don't know. I couldn't see the details exactly.
Right.
Yeah, but that's true.
Did you escape, or did Anakin Skywalker take you, abduct you?
Right,
you know,
right.
To turn you into Dark Jedi or whatever. Is that because that's how you would know that Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader are the same person, or you saw something at that temple, so you realize that was the case. But I think what we will see is that she was at some point abducted by the Empire, either there or later or after the fact.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I love that opening scene though. They come into the town, they walk in there, we see it's like an old Western, right? The bad guys come into town. We're looking for the Jedi. The Jedi hunt themselves. I love that line. I love that description of like you can always suss them out because they're weak. They always help people. They're always going to be the ones to help you save your failing business or whatever. That was all great. So what else happens after that? I forget where that goes into after that.
Well, I like the whole. If we look at it from a sort of a larger angle, I like the fact that I like what happens on Tatooine. I think for me, there's only a couple of false notes, and that is I thought the other Jedi who were on Tatooine were less compelling by a long shot than Obi-Wan Kenobi. Where it's like, hey Obi-Wan, how's it going? I'm a Jedi too, and the gravitas of Obi-Wan Kenobi is not matched by these Jedi who might not have had all the training that he did.
But that's the idea, is that that's all that's left, because all the major level Jedi were the ones that got killed by their clone troopers in Order 66. So all these little guys are left, the guys who didn't do well, the C students, the ones who are like kind of like on the edge of failing. They're not very good, but they're scrambling. Obviously, this guy still wanted to kind of do something well, and he's scrambling for help. He doesn't know about Obi-Wan's mission or what he's doing on Tatooine, so he has no idea. We're jumping ahead to when they meet, but this is still the same guy they see in the tavern at the beginning here. So I like that because they kind of set it up that way, and they show us kind of the current landscape of where we are regarding the Inquisitors and the Jedi. Like, this is a typical day in the Inquisitors' life. They're just there letting the Jedi hunt themselves and taking them down, and then they do eventually get them, right?
Absolutely. So the stuff on Tatooine, the stuff with Obi-Wan Kenobi working at a meat packing plant.
Yeah.
Who knew that Obi-Wan had a job? He has a part-time job.
Who knew he needs one? Like, can't he just get some money from Bail or something and get some? I don't know. He should be being paid for his work while he's sitting there watching Luke.
Yeah, there's lots we don't know, hey? But he doesn't. My guess is, I mean, what it sure looks like is he's done what Luke Skywalker does in the sequels, which is he's cut himself off of the Force, and he has one job, and that's to make sure Luke Skywalker's okay and train him when the time comes. So I think seeing him just going about his daily routine. He lives in a cave at this point. He calls out to Qui-Gon, and of course we all went, "Oh, Liam Neeson, here he comes!"
I was waiting. I was on the edge of my seat. I was just waiting for him. Not yet.
No, but that means we will get him, because do not set it up that I've called him and he does not answer now, and then later in the episode, and he's the one who will teach Obi-Wan Kenobi how to vanish when Darth Vader kills him.
Right. Yes, because that's what he did, right?
Right. So that's what's that's what he discovers.
Right. He didn't do it right away. He didn't do it right away.
He discovers it from beyond. So that has to happen. It has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to see that. The fact that Liam Neeson is a voice in an animated series tells you that he's back.
Like everything's on the table now. Everybody can be back. Anybody can be back at this point. So there's no reason why Liam Neeson would not. It was just funny. I was just met with my uncle Nick on last week, and he was talking about working on the Ice Road with which was a Liam Neeson film. He did the storyboards for that one. He said it was great. Super nice guy.
I watched that movie, sadly. And
hey,
there's one great part of the movie where right at the very end, some guy walks up and he's like, "Hi, I'm from the Canadian government, and I'm here to something or other." And it's just so ridiculous. And they give him a job title that doesn't exist in Canada. "I'm the Minister of Ice Roads, and I'm here to administer my road salt," or something. The whole thing is absolutely silly and ridiculous. So I'm happy. I would be very happy to see Liam Neeson leave the ice roads and come back to Star Wars. Come back to
Yeah,
Alderaan.
for sure. Back to Alderaan. We'll get to that in a second. We're jumping ahead.
Yes, we will.
So yeah, and I love this setup. I really do. It really kind of reminded me of Jakku and the whole setup with Rey on Jakku. And I think it's meant to do that because even the way he makes his food in the cave, it rises up much in the same way Rey's little bun rose up in that film. So there's a lot of parallels here. And I think it's intentional. It's really, really good. He has a nice little encounter with a Jawa. Is this the first time, Kenton, we've had a subtitled Jawa conversation?
Did we not in The Mandalorian when with
Oh yes, because
Amy
what's her name
Sedaris?
speaks? Yes, she speaks Jawaese or whatever the language is called.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. So that's right. So we saw her side and the other side of that conversation, but generally we have not seen. I guess this is something that's going to be normal now. We're going to start seeing subtitles. Like this is kind of proof to me that they're willing to break the so-called rules that have been in place in Star Wars. We never got subtitles for Jawas, right? In the past, we never got subtitles for Chewbacca. We might in the future. I don't know, or for Wookiees anyway. So that's something that we might see change. What else do I have here? Anything else about that before we move on? About Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan setup?
I like the setup. I remember them saying that when they rewrote Obi-Wan the series, that the original one they were worried was too depressing. And I did find it. Found it sad seeing, poor Obi-Wan, but like once the great Jedi Master on Coruscant, and here he is. How the mighty have fallen, and here he is, and he has virtually nothing. He's living sort of this, I wouldn't even say simple life, almost an impoverished life. And
self-imposed, I would say. Self-imposed, feels horrible about what happened. He feels guilt, shame, and all these negative. He's a broken man. He really is.
Yeah.
They've done a great job. I think it's intentionally so, and I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they spent the time on it to really set up. And the whole first two episodes, and it's probably going to be throughout the series, that he's going to, I mean, who knows if he ever really comes out of it, because we see him, he's kind of still broken in A New Hope, right? He's still living in his little shack and stuff. We don't know what's going to happen. I have issues about that. We'll get to that in a second.
I think in A New Hope he's at peace with himself. He knows more than he does in this series.
So we're going to see him. Yeah, we're going to see him get from to there when we through the course of the series. Okay, so let's get to the big reveal of this one, which is like, I had no idea this is where they were going with this. Did you?
Me neither.
Okay, so what they've done now, and I'm glad you mentioned the rewrite, because that's what they've done. The original plan was for them to have Obi-Wan and little Luke running around, right? It was going to be that, and they're going to be like looking for stuff and solving crimes and stuff. But now instead they've got Obi-Wan and little Leia. So we got an introduction to little Princess Leia. I didn't clue in until they said Leia Organa. I got to be honest. Didn't understand who this was supposed to be at all.
I knew it right away.
Oh,
right away.
I knew you would. Damn it.
I went Alderaan. Oh my God, Alderaan. Here we go. Now it's on. And then when we see the little, and at first I was puzzled when they're dressing her. And then I was like, of course this is Princess Leia. And then you see the hand with the veins.
That was weird. Yeah, that was a weird part with that alien girl.
Right. But I thought she'd already been kidnapped and they'd replaced her with someone else. And I thought, this is horrifying. But then it just turns out to be an alien who's in on the joke.
I would have made it a more recognizable alien, like a Twilight girl or something like that, just so we knew exactly who that's supposed to be. Because it was weird that her skin was like, I know her skin has to be different so that she knows it's not Leia, but still, anyway. We're dwelling on that. But I did like the introduction to Leia. I like this character. I like that this is exactly how you think Princess Leia would be as a kid. She's got a fun little droid now. Lola is her little droid sidekick on store shelves, as I showed you on TikTok. Or I don't know if that was a store shelf, but it was a demonstration of something, of these little animatronic real life ones they have on display. I'm sure at Disney World. So that's cool. And that whole intro is great. I love it. I love seeing Alderaan. That was so cool. We get to see these big sweeping shots of Alderaan. Jimmy Smits. I love Jimmy Smits. He's awesome.
Yeah. So
immediately makes everything better. Jimmy Smits in a scene, you're like, oh, yes. I knew he'd be in it, but I was just so happy to see him. Yeah,
no, I agree. Jimmy Smits will do any TV show, as has been established. He'll fix any TV show when a TV show starts to get shitty. Yep. He's there. He's there for it. All the way back to LA Law and NYPD Blue. That guy's ready. He's ready to be in your show. Mm-hmm. So it's not surprising to see him, but it's good to see him. Mm-hmm. And I thought, on the other hand, the one thing that kind of stood out for me on Alderaan and was distracting, so I'm glad it's over, and that's having Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers be the
was
kidnapper.
distracting. I agree.
Yeah,
I
it
agree.
was a distraction. I don't think we needed
Well,
him. I mean, he is off-putting like he's supposed to be, and he also seems like an incompetent villain, which he's supposed to be, I think, as well. But seeing him in Star Wars was a little. I don't know if we needed to see him.
Well, we've talked about all the guest stars that have been on the last couple of seasons of The Mandalorian and Boba Fett, and I just thought of this week's guest star is Flea. Like, it's just like the Love Boat when you used to see the guest star roles. Every week it's a different person coming on to promote. What does he have? Did the Chili Peppers have a new album out or something? What's the tie in here? That's immediately what I think about, and I know it's probably just him going, "Hey, I'd love to be in Star Wars," talking to his agent and saying, "Hey, can you call someone over there and get me a meeting?" And he's like, probably loves it. He's probably super excited to be in Star Wars, but it did take me out of it. It did absolutely. Oh fuck, it's Flea, and I'm like, I mean, okay, it's Flea, and then I kind of resigned myself to it and moved on. But it was for a second there, I was not happy.
Yeah, and I think. Oh, and I wanted to add to what you said about Princess Leia.
Yeah.
I think the girl playing her as a kid is quite an actor. She's great.
Boy. Yeah,
And
she's excellent.
She can really pull it off. So they got the right kid. I mean, that's a kid. That's a little kid. That's amazing, the job she's doing. And I love it when she runs. She is a funny runner. There's something hilarious. Like, she kind of leans back and just like works the arms.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that's funny. Like, well,
I'll pay attention more next. I'm sure she's gonna do more running next episode. So I'll pay more attention to that.
When I watched it the second time, that's what I really dug it. But I mean,
that's awesome.
How many times do we need to see it's a bit of a trope where the kid is being chased by grown adults, and the only thing that needed to stop them are twigs and a little fallen tree.
Oh, well, they pulled that off earlier in the very first scene with the Inquisitors. I thought they pulled that off where he just drops really, we're just going to drop the awning on these guys and he's disappeared. Like, they're not going to, he's a block away. Run after him. What are you doing? Like, they just kind of give up on him so quickly with that. It's hilarious.
It's very easy to stop villains in their tracks with
the
old trick.
God.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Princess Leia ran under a twig and now I can't catch her right away. Now I'm completely flummoxed here. I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, also on Alderaan, did you happen to notice R2-D2 and C-3PO in the background?
I saw. Was R2 with him? Because I just saw 3PO. I just noticed 3PO. I heard him talking, and I saw Anthony Daniels credited. So I just assumed. I guess R2-D2 was with them, right? Well, or R2-D2 was under the sand. Is that R2 under the sand?
No.
Okay.
No, that looks like his. That's also confusing because it looks like it's his thing, but it's not. On Alderaan, you do see C-3PO. You hear his voice. You know it's him. At the end of that scene, you do see R2-D2, and it's got to be R2-D2 in the background, just doing his thing. Maybe he's a server. I don't know. He's doing something.
He's owned by Captain Antilles at this point, I think, right? Or maybe we'll figure that out. Maybe we'll see him in more detail next episode.
Well, he says the ship is, I think, in episode 4. He said we were on a cruiser with the Captain Antilles.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's good. It's good to see Alderaan. It's cool. It's I like it. I like that is the one thing that would get Obi-Wan off of Tatooine.
Yeah, and before we move on to that next episode where he does get off of Tatooine, the one thing we forgot to talk about is kind of his basically watching over Luke that he's been charged with doing, and how we see a lot of hostility from Owen. We see him buy the toy from the trader, the little fighter toy, and he smashes it. Yeah, and he gives it back to him, smashed up, said, "Leave us alone." Like, very, very hostile. So there's that as well. But it's very clear that, and that's what I guess ultimately gets him off, because they call him up. Bale and his wife call him up. They ask him for help. He says no. He's flat out says no, which surprised me, right? Because I thought, like, he's gonna go, right? I guess, but I didn't think he would like balk so easily. But I guess it's really to illustrate how broken of a guy he is. He really doesn't believe he is the right guy. He has no confidence in himself. He hasn't used the Force in a decade, right? He really does think that there are better people for the job out there. But then Bail Organa comes to us. Jimmy Smits comes to him in person. You can't ignore Jimmy Smits in person. You can't.
I think that this is one of the plot holes, or not a plot hole. It's one of the sort of plot devices that doesn't quite work. I love the episode, but the idea. Oh, by the way, the Skyhopper toy. That's what Luke is playing with in episode 4 when he's sitting in the garage with.
So he must have found it. He must have got it back at something.
He fixes it. He gets it back, or Owen something happens. So Jimmy Smits is rich. He's a rich guy. Leia's been abducted. He contacts him by hologram, and then he shows up in person. So it's nice to see them together. I'm glad they did that. But then he sends the impoverished Obi-Wan to take public transport to get to the set. Like, you have
Coach.
and
He's flying coach.
Right. Leia herself says, "Where's the army?
Right.
The army's going to be getting here? No. Don't want to send them." And also, couldn't he, Bail Organa, give Obi-Wan a space cruiser? Couldn't he give him money? Couldn't he give him? He could give him everything that he needs to really get on this faster than taking the public transport. I wasn't quite sure why. Well,
I think they're trying to keep it low key. That's the idea. Is
Right.
They want to keep it like they don't want nobody knows the importance of Leia except for Obi-Wan and Bail and Yoda. I guess presumably Yoda's off somewhere as well doing something.
Dagobah.
We'll probably see. Well, he's on Dagobah, but we'll probably check in with Yoda at some part.
I sure hope.
But yeah, I think that's I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Oh yeah, but my question regarding that is, you're already there. Just give him a lift. Just give him a lift wherever you need to go. Like, he's got a ship. You don't have to go through the pretense of like going on. They wanted to have that scene where he like steps onto the thing and he makes the choice to go and do the mission. So that's why they have it. But I don't think it really works. I agree. It makes more sense just to have Bail take him and have that same scene happen as he steps out of the spaceport into the new world or something, because that's where like and that's where really the series shifts. Like, I was worried we're gonna get a whole another 6 episodes of sand, like we did for Boba Fett, but now it's like we're on a completely different planet for episode 2. That might be the case for this rest of the series. You might just keep shifting scenes like that.
Yeah, I think we're going to get far more travel than what we expected, which is good. That's good in Star Wars. It keeps things interesting. And they only have 6 episodes. They got to keep this thing moving.
And we're coming up. Episode 3 is coming up on Wednesday, so that's crazy.
Yeah, so they don't have a lot of time to draw this out, and I'm glad. So I'm glad it's moving on. But I'm also glad they took some time on Tatooine. That it wasn't just they didn't rush it, but at the same time they didn't belabor it. They found the nice middle ground, and I think that's what they needed to do. But I do think that our pal Bail comes off as being needy and not helpful. Like, I need your help, but I don't.
He seemed to have it much more together in the prequels. He was like a guy who could get it done, and now he's like not dependable anymore.
I know they wanted them in the same room together, and I'm glad they did. I'm glad, because I want them in the same room together again. And so that's good. It's good to see that. But you're right. The ultimately, it doesn't result. They could have just had him on the hologram and had Obi-Wan do the same thing.
Was it whether you're saying they created that scene just to have them on set together so they could shoot it? Oh, okay.
I think it is more compelling to have them in the same room in that scene than it is to just see the hologram going, "Hey, remember me?" And
Well, it also reinforces like how much it takes to get Obi-Wan moving. Like, it really does say, "Hey, you need to get on this and get out, get your shit together, man. Shake out of it, snap out of it." As what's her name said in Moonlighting? Moonlight?
Right.
No, Moonstruck. Anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Moonstruck. Right. Yeah.
So we leave. Go ahead.
Yeah. So go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what do you think of, before we move on to episode 2? What are your overall thoughts about the inclusion of Leia and that idea of having her be the kind of the person Obi-Wan's working with here?
I love it.
Yeah.
I think of course it raises lots of questions about A New Hope, about when and I watched it again. If you on YouTube, if you do Luke rescues Leia, that's the first scene that comes up, and it's a great scene, the detention block scene. And he says, "I'm here." She says, "Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?" That scene, and he says, "I'm here with Ben Kenobi." She goes, Ben Kenobi, where is he?" And she's excited, and it implies she knows him. But in the recording, in the projection, she said, "Obi-Wan Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars," and it's like she doesn't know him in the recording.
I think that's on well, at the time. They didn't think of all this stuff, but
right.
I think that's okay, because I feel like that's a public, like it's a message that you don't know who's going to come into contact. You don't know necessarily give away a personal relationship and something like that. Whereas when you're seeing something face to face, you can react in the moment and go, "Oh my God, he's here." So that feels right. That feels okay to me.
And we've talked about and everybody who's a Star Wars fan has thought about where are you going to hide Luke? On Tatooine with his family? What's his last name going to be? Skywalker. Oh my God! Like, they're going to find this kid. And then also Obi-Wan Kenobi changes his name to Ben Kenobi, which isn't the best way to hide. either, but he just calls himself Ben throughout the episode. So I think those questions about why, if you're hiding, that those questions will always be part of Star Wars, I think.
Okay, yeah, I guess, but how did now it's apparent to me that news does not travel fast in the Star Wars universe. Like we see it revealed in the second episode. Obi-Wan finds out that Anakin is still alive. He didn't know that for this entire time. He spent 10 years thinking that he killed his best friend, right? So think about what that does to a person. But
left him for dead. He left him for dead.
Left him for dead. Yes, he thinks he left him for dead and that he did die, and in Cruise, he didn't. So that's a big thing. What was I talking about? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
So we're talking about we're episode 1, pretty much where episode 1 ends, which is his decision to I'm gonna take on this task. I also think that we can, like, the other thing that I could imagine Star Wars fans wondering is now he's leaving Luke there, where Luke could be kidnapped, but Luke is safe for the time being, and Owen is a guy who seems like he's not gonna tolerate lots of bullshit of any kind. So he sort of seems like a guy that you would be fairly certain could keep him safe. But it does beg the question about why isn't there another Jedi that can watch over Luke over that time period?
Well, there is one other one, but we've mentioned, but we don't know. He might be doing something else. Yoda is the only other one available to do something, right? But
we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes that scene with him, like that scene between him and Reva, between Owen and Reva, so important, because that proves that Owen can handle himself. Right? He stands right up to her. He does not give in. It's clear she can read some intention, so she can't read people's minds, but she knows that he knows that he's a Jedi.
In episode 2, she reads somebody's mind.
Well, that's with more intention. That's more of a Kylo Ren style mind reading. So yeah, that's kind of where we go with that. So that's why we feel okay with him leaving Luke behind. Luke's okay for now. They're after Obi-Wan. That's the thing. Like it all, and this is what I remember where I was going with this. It all kind of boils down to they kidnapped Leia as a lure to get Obi-Wan. So how did she know Obi-Wan was connected to Bail? How did they say that? Right? There's some kind of connection there, but they don't know about how important Leia is really.
Well, you have identified the second area where I think they. It's a little questionable as a plan. Okay. Like if I take Leia, then Obi-Wan will have to come, because there's no indication that anybody knows that that Padme had children. There's no indication of that, so she couldn't think that. As far as we know, she.
Anakin knew though. Anakin knows.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't know.
I don't think I think he'll find out. I don't think Anakin knows he has children at this point. I don't think he knows. He'll find out. He's going to find out about Luke in this series, I'm sure. But I don't think he knows. And I think we can only assume, like, she might know because she was on the forces of good in the at one point. It's possible. But it's a little unclear what she knows and how she knows it. But I would say that she would be moving on the assumption that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Bail Organa knew each other well. They were friends, you could even say, and that if Obi-Wan's around, that he would be compelled to come. I think that's what she's going on. It is a bit of a thin plot, though, to make that happen. Yeah, like, what if Bail sent the army? What if?
Yeah, he could have.
He could have, right? So I think, okay, her plan worked, but probably it wouldn't have worked.
That's what I'm saying. Or she does know. Somehow she has figured it out. She has figured out that Padme is pregnant. She's figured out who Leia really is.
Maybe.
That's what she wants to bring her to Anakin, to her master.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe so.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe so. Anything's possible there. I hope we find out.
Oh yeah, I think we will.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what's the name of the planet they go to again? I keep forgetting it.
The Dayu?
Dayu, yes, Dayu. And we learned that you can't get signals on there. He's kind of lost, at the beginning. Obi-Wan gets there and he's kind of wandering. He doesn't really know what to do. But I like that. Well, first of all, I want to say I love the Tamara Morrison cameo that we got. We got him as the aging clone trooper who's like begging on the street, just like a Vietnam veteran would do, or any other war veteran might do in other parts of the world. So that was really meaningful.
Is that a clone trooper we would recognize, by the way?
I
Is
don't think
that
it's meant
someone
to
we
be.
should
I
know?
mean, I don't know. It doesn't look like he recognized Obi-Wan at all, so
No.
I don't necessarily think so. But I don't know.
They age twice as fast as normal human beings. So he looked pretty ragged.
Yeah, this is only 10 years later, right? He shouldn't be that old.
Well, no, they age twice as fast.
Oh, they do really.
Yes.
Okay, you're saying
Yeah,
that. Okay, interesting.
that's established. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So it's like 20 years for
Okay.
that, and we don't
Interesting.
know how old the clone was. I mean, you can sort of do some math or whatever, but I think it works.
Also opens up the possibility for us to get Rex or another established older clone back because he's available. And then I got we have a little drug deal. I think that was a little bit of a callback to the death stick scene, right? We have that little girl asking him to buy some drugs. I did but I did appreciate how we get to see more about the drug trade and a little bit more about how we see like a Star Wars meth lab a bit. We see how like later on Flea and his buddies get dosed with spice or whatever it is that they're thinking. They're all like out of it. So you see the effects of the drugs on people. That's a little bit better. I like that.
It's Breaking Bad in Star Wars.
Exactly,
Even the outfit that he puts on is Breaking Bad. It's funny.
with the goggles and everything like that. Yeah, very much so. Kumail turns up. He of course is a fake Jedi, and you knew it instantly. You just know.
A fake Jedi with a heart of gold, even if he does enrich himself,
right,
from time to time.
But you can tell, I knew it immediately as soon as I heard his voice, because his voice is inherently funny, I think. Like, that's part of what makes him so charming, is he's got this funny kind of high-pitched, nasally voice with a little hint of an accent. I think he's working to get rid of the accent a bit in this, feels like. But if he's doing, and I think he can do other stuff. I'm not saying Kumail Nanjiani doesn't have range, but if he's doing that, if he's doing the voice that we know so well, it's going to be a comedic role, and he's probably going to be a good guy. I had no doubt that he was going to turn out to be a good guy, even though they kind of made him look back and forth, like, what is he a sketchy character? I don't know, but I knew he was going to help out in the end.
I wasn't sure. I thought when he stands up and says, "Come on, let's go," I thought he might be in for the bounty. I thought he could be. I liked the thing that whole kind of thing that he had going there brought to mind was Oliver, where there's a bunch of little kids picking pockets.
Oh, he's the Artful Dodger. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
They're all reporting back to their to the guy in charge, who's kind of a dodgy guy himself. So I kind of like that about it.
What was the name of the one in Solo? The big snake lady in Solo that was the same kind of thing.
I don't remember. Snake lady? No, I don't remember.
So the beginning of Solo and his girlfriend are like working for some creature underground. Remember in the horrible scenes that we hated? That's kind of a similar thing where they grew up on the streets as kids under the watch of this person. Anyway, sorry.
The ones who can't see sunlight or whatever. Those.
Right. Yes, that's
right.
Yes. So weird. Okay. And I honestly got the vibe once he got going and started looking, once he really got into that scene with Kumail and started like, hey, you're not a Jedi. Tell me what I need to know. I felt like we got a little bit of the old Obi-Wan back, right? Yeah. It did feel like a bit of the old Obi-Wan mysteries again, back to like episode 2 when he was like meeting with Dexter and looking for the planets and stuff. That really kind of got that feeling back. So I was very excited about that.
Oh yeah, I thought so too. I'm glad. It wouldn't be fun watching a depressed Obi-Wan for 6 episodes. Mm-hmm. He's sort of getting his mojo back a little bit as he makes his way through this plot. And it did remind me of episode 2 for sure. Yeah, I very much it did. I thought the planet really does look like Blade Runner. Mm-hmm. I would have liked one long shot of the whole planet, though. I don't think we got one. I think we just got the streetscape, didn't we?
Yeah. Are we still there, though? We might get that next episode.
Well, the ship was taking off.
Oh, that's right. They got out of there. They did. So, yeah, we're not going to see that again. Okay. So, and that's the other thing is that this might be very much a different Planet of the Week kind of a show where we're going to see a different location. I'm sure they're going to end up on Mustafar at some point. But you might expect them to be in a different planet every week.
Well, maybe, but I also wonder how long is he going to be with Leia? Is he right. is that part of this over? But they before they get to that ship, they say he says, and this is very compelling because I've been wondering all weekend. But when he says, "Don't worry, there's going to be people at the other end who are going to help you." So who's going to be at the other end?
Right. It's going to be the beginning of the rebellion, is what it's going to be, right? That's what that is. It's going to be Saul Guerrera.
Could be Saul Guerrera. Could be Gungans. I thought.
Okay.
Could be who else could it be? I had a few ideas. Could be Yoda, but Yoda's on Dagobah. Not, I think not likely Yoda. It could
This
be.
guy
Yoda.
doesn't know a lot about how Jedi actually works. I don't think he's actually connected to any real Jedi, so it feels more likely that it's some kind of rebel group, right? That's kind of what it feels likely to me. But anyway, or even Enfys Nest. Enfys Nest might be a possibility as well.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff floating around out there that
This is around that same time. This is 10 years after, so this is Solo is flying around somewhere with Chewie, although I don't think we're going to get them in this series.
Oh, it did occur to me that it could be Chewbacca. I think because remember, Obi-Wan Kenobi knows Chewbacca at the cantina. When he goes.
Yes, that's right. You're right. Okay.
So it could very well be Chewbacca. I don't think it could be Han Solo though. I don't think Alden Ehrenreich will make a cameo.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's likely, especially since they made such a big stink about the recasting stuff a few weeks ago. They're not going to go back on that now. No. Now, of course, we see Reva again continues to butt heads with her boss. It seems that every time she's about to catch him, they always say, no, enough. And then they just stop, right? And it happens on Tatooine. It happens again on this planet. And it's like, oh, man, it begins so frustrated. She shows her frustration, as we see later on. But before that, she calls out she puts out a bounty on him. She puts out the full alert. Everyone gets a little hologram of Obi-Wan. And then we see the bounties come down upon him. That was awesome. I love that whole sequence.
Little T-Rex head guy.
Okay, well, yeah, that was hilarious. Like, what's his name? Do we have a name for him?
I don't know.
I call him Mohawk Dino Man.
Yeah, that guy's great. And it was not Forlom, by the way.
Okay. Well,
because Forlom's around in Empire.
Well, he could get fixed. I mean, it was like you don't know if he's like completely. I guess that's what that second shot was meant to be. He does shoot him twice. But anyway, that's funny.
I don't think it was Forlom. I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Right.
And yeah, so the bounty's out, and that's always good. That's right from the Mandalorian, pretty much the way that works.
Yep.
That we sort of know how that works now. It was a bit of a stretch where Leia's like, wait a sec, I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Again. Like, I trust
that was
you.
really quickly.
You helped me escape, but I don't trust you either. And now I'm going to run again. Lots of, and she's got little legs and she can outrun anybody.
And you love the way she runs. You love the way she runs.
It's fun. It's fun to watch, but I mean, realistically speaking, I don't think she could outrun anyone she outruns on the show.
Yeah, now starting with that first scene where she outruns the kidnappers in the forest, I'm like, those guys look like they're lightly jogging after her. They look like they're putting up a giant fight.
Oh no, not a piece of wood.
They were leading her into Flea's lab. They're leading her into the trap. Okay.
So.
But then we see like a great sequence where Obi-Wan has to use the Force again to save her. So good, and just like you see like that connection, and I do like their dynamic, the way they go back and forth, their dialogue. She's funny, she's got a great wit. You're talking about her acting. The line that really did it for me was when he tells her that Anakin died. Is that what he says? Padme. Oh yeah, he's talking about how much he reminds her of Padme, and about how she dies, and she says, "I'm sorry." Like she was really taken aback. Like that was a genuine moment. It was so good. But
she's talking about her mother, but he does not say I'm talking about your mother.
No, he just says she's
So that's a great moment. That was really well played by both. Oh yeah, and Ewan McGregor just. By the way, I'm saying how good the little Leia is as an actor. Well, Ewan McGregor is fantastic.
Absolutely.
I mean, he brings so much to this role.
It's like he never left the freaking set. He feels just like, or that he actually lived the last 10 years as Obi-Wan Kenobi, or it's been more than 10 years for him. It's been 20 years, 25 years almost, I guess, when you think about it.
He raises the level of the show by so much. It's so good.
Yeah, and it really sounds like he's really kind of like come around on this like personally. Like he said he resented it for a long time, that he had a lot of I don't know how much of that is real and how much of it is kind of the story for the media or whatever. They're playing it up certainly, but anyway, it's nice to see that he seems to kind of be happy doing what he's doing.
Oh my God, he's so good at it.
Yeah.
So then we get to one of the controversial parts, and that is and I think they've established that this is the same. The Grand Inquisitor is the same one from Rebels.
Okay.
But she's we think Obi-Wan Kenobi is gonna have a duel with her with lightsabers, and we're like, it is not gonna end well for her. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Not yet. I didn't think that was gonna happen in this episode. He's not gonna light up that lightsaber until he's getting ready, I think.
But he takes it out and he's like putting it together. So I thought, oh yeah, here we go.
Well, he's getting ready, but he's certainly nervous about using it.
Right. So she So she keeps, but you're right. The Grand Inquisitor keeps telling her, no, no. He's the Captain Panaka of that side. He's like, no, you can't do that.
Not just
No.
him, but the other guy too. The guy with the hat does it as well. And can I just say, while we're on the topic of the way they look, I like it overall, but the earmuffs are distracting. Like the things on his ears.
Yeah.
Why can't we see his ears? Why do his ears look stupid in that makeup? Like I'm just wondering why they decided to cover up his ears like that. It's weird.
I'm not sure, and I think the least believable person on the show so far is Riva, who we just don't understand her motivation, and so it's hard to identify, other than to go, well, at one point she was a Padawan probably, which is what that's doing in the show, but sort of I need Obi-Wan and I'm angry, and then she takes out the lightsaber and she sticks it to the Grand Inquisitor, who we know is in Rebel, I guess, unless.
Well, I think maybe what they're saying is this happens after whenever he shows up in Rebels. It's around the same time frame.
No,
It's 10,
Rebels
it's 10
is
years.
after this.
Are you sure?
Yes, Rebels is after.
Right.
It
Then he's not really dead. I mean, Darth Maul got sliced in half, right? Darth Maul got completely cut, and he's fine, so he's probably okay.
And hey, clones are a thing as well. But how many times can you do that? We can't have more people running around who were dead. We need fewer of those.
But let me ask you this: did you notice the townspeople gathering around afterwards, going, "Get him some life support. He's still breathing." Did that happen at all?
That did not happen.
Okay, well, then he's
you know why?
probably dead.
He was a very unpopular person, as opposed to the sheriff, who was very popular. And so the townsfolk rallied to get him the back to tank he needed. But this guy, I don't think anyone's going to give this guy a back to tank. But we don't really know what's inside an Inquisitor. And it could.
We don't even know what species they are. Like, they seem to be all the same species except for Riva. I do agree that some parts of her character seem strangely one-dimensional, almost annoyingly one-dimensional. I hope they're setting up something good here. I hope there's a good reason for it, because she certainly seems different than any other Sith Lords that we've seen up to this point. She's very, very, like, I would say maybe a little more along the lines of Kylo Ren than anything else we've seen. Like, very, very impulsive and angry and just wants to get it done and just impatient all the time and just can do it herself, right? That's kind of what she is. So I am interested to know how she got that way and why she seems to have it in for Obi-Wan. I'm sure we'll find that out.
I like the scene on Tatooine where the other Inquisitor takes her aside down a dark alley, down the side alley. He's like, yeah, we need to have a little chat about your temper.
Yeah, a little performance appraisal there right on the scene.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Yeah. It's sort of funny. These are villains. Like, you care if somebody has a bad temper. You care if somebody kills. But I guess the Inquisitor's job isn't to kill people per se. It's their job to get information and then kill the person. So you don't want to kill them before you got the info. I think that's the argument.
Yes, they were setting up to torture that guy. They probably did torture him. Right. And then kill him. They strung him up in front of the town, which was pretty gruesome, I would say, for a Disney show. And then I guess, so we lose so-called lose the Grand Inquisitor. I think that we're going to lose him for the series. Maybe he comes back at the end or something. I don't know. But I don't think we're going to see him for most of this. Or maybe he'll be back next. Every time I say that, they're going to bring him back very first scene. Next episode, he's going to be like, back to tank. He's good.
I imagine the next scene where a big door opens and there's 10,000 Grand Inquisitors.
Yes, they got a bunch of tanks. They got a bunch of like clone tanks full of them. Right? That's what they're going to do.
There's a million of this guy, and when one of them inevitably gets killed, we just pull another one out of the tank.
Yeah. And then the other moment here that I've noted is that I just kind of feel at the end, and if there's anything else, you can kind of come back to it, but at the end there, when he kind of has a moment to breathe, they escape, they get off on the ship, and he breathes, and he finally like says Anakin, and he reaches out with the Force. That's what he does in that moment, and then Anakin hears him. And we shot the best shot of the whole show so far is just him opening his eyes and that close in, and the voice or the breathing, just crazy.
He's so gross in that tank. He's so burnt and yucky, but yet strangely jacked, strangely muscular. It's horrible to look at. So it was shocking. We sort of saw a version of that in Rogue One, which I watched. I watched that scene again. And it's not as gross. It's not as graphic.
Not as close up.
It's not as close up. No, it looks fogged up. The tank looks fogged up, so it's a bit harder to see.
They didn't really have Hayden Christensen for that one. They didn't have him. They just did a CGI mock-up. But this is him. This is really him.
Yes, and so it makes it even more terrible. But what a great... And it also occurred to me that maybe Obi-Wan and Anakin were the Force dyad that we heard about with Kylo Ren and Rey. Right. Maybe it's the same thing. They can communicate remotely with one another.
But because Obi-Wan has cut himself off from the Force for the last
Yeah.
10 years, he hasn't been able to reach out. And now are they going to be able to talk to each other remotely like Kylo Ren and Rey could?
I think there's going to be some degree of that. There has to be some, at the very least, they will sense each other and they'll know. I actually imagine a confrontation in which Darth Vader allows Obi-Wan to come in to to wherever he is.
Yeah, we might get that next episode. I suspect that next episode we're going to get our full. Well, just first, we talked about like a first meeting and then another meeting later on. Yeah. So I think we're going to get the next episode. We're going to get like they can't not follow up that shot with a full shot of what he looks like. They have to show us that next. So that, but then you're right. It's going to be something he's going to invite him in to talk. Say, look what I've done. It's Master. I can bring that. Like, he's probably still obsessed with bringing people back to life. Maybe he's still obsessed with Padme. I don't know. And then they're going to get separated or something. We'll get a tease of a fight, maybe they'll get separated, and then we'll get the real fight back at the end of the series.
Yeah, there's only a couple of things we didn't see in the Obi-Wan that isn't in the Obi-Wan trailer, or only a couple of things that weren't in the first 2 episodes. One of them, it just occurs to me now, is the Inquisitors in their underwater lair. It looks like it's underwater.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Isn't the Grand Inquisitor in that scene in the trailer?
Maybe, yeah. So maybe that's we already know we're gonna get him back.
Oh yeah, I think we're gonna have to watch that trailer again just to see. So we didn't get that. We didn't get their ships taking off from that same location. So that'll be coming soon. And we did, and of course the scenes with Darth Vader being assembled.
Oh yes.
So that's all to come. But yeah, do you think we're going to see Darth Vader? We're going to see the complete finished Darth Vader in this next one, or just the back to tank?
I think they're going to do. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, they could do it either way, right? They could go with us. They could make a big, awesome sequence of like us seeing the full dress, and he's like full on Darth Vader, and then we see him again as Anakin later. I don't know. I just don't know. It's just exciting to think about it, but I can't decide which way I want to go.
Will we see Darth Vader doing his thing? Apart from Obi-Wan Kenobi, or will we only be able to see what Obi-Wan Kenobi sees? It should be interesting. I'm curious to know, will we see, will Obi-Wan Kenobi watch Darth Vader be assembled before his very eyes like us? Or are we going to see that separate from him?
Yeah.
So there's lots of interesting things that could happen in the upcoming episodes.
Yeah, and just lots, like, you have to kind of wonder what's going through Anakin or going through Obi-Wan's head right now, right? He's just discovered that he's alive. So he's like, what's happened? That's probably what he's asking Anakin, like, what's happened in the last 10 years? What have you been done? Why have you not, if Anakin has been alive, why did he not try and find Obi-Wan, right? Why didn't he not reach out?
Well, Obi-Wan has disconnected himself from the Force.
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
so
I don't
he
know.
might
He wouldn't have known.
Yeah,
I bet you we're gonna get Yoda. We'll get Yoda soon too. Maybe not this episode, but next episode, the one after. Sorry.
For me, in my wildest dreams, the thing I'd like to see is for Obi-Wan to visit Dagobah. I think that would be,
to get Qui-Gon to show up in that scene.
Oh, in the same scene.
Yeah, just like in the Empire Strikes Back. Just like when Obi-Wan shows up to Luke, he learned that move from Qui-Gon on Dagobah in that scene. They just recreated it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. From a certain point of view, he's going to say that kind of crap.
Well, it should be. Whatever happens, I think I like what they're doing with it so far.
Yeah, me too. I love it.
I think it's good. We pointed out a couple plot holes, or what could be plot holes, or what could be whatever script devices or whatever you want to call it. But I really loved watching this. I liked it even more the second time. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a lot of fun. I picked up on more stuff the second time around, and I'm looking forward to it. Wednesday now, so we don't have to wait too long. We're going to watch it on Wednesday. I think we're going to record Thursdays as we discussed, so we'll get this up on Fridays, I think, from now on, as this runs for the next few weeks.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to see it. I was watching some podcasters' reactions on YouTube, and it definitely, the things that stood out were when they first see Leia. It's a big one. When we see the clone trooper begging for money, it's a big one. And of course, the money shot with Hayden Christensen in the back to tank. Mm-hmm. That's the big one. That's the one. So I think it's good that they gave us 2 episodes. I think the first episode ending was fine, but I think the second one is really the grabber.
Yeah.
That's one where you just have to see the next episode. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's going to be fun to watch, and we will, of course, keep talking about it here on the podcast. Let us know your thoughts on the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series You can reach out to us through our show notes below. That's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vadebonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you on the ass.
I'm going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
TK421, do you copy?